Hi, I'm Brandy Stanley, and this is my e-portfolio for educational leadership. I've attached my introduction video and my personal goals as well as my professional goals. My personal goals revolve around my kids. I have 4 kiddos ages 16 through 8 and a wonderful husband. My professional goals relate to a position that I've accepted for next year as curriculum director, so I'm excited about that. My artifact folder is here. And my leadership philosophy, I tend to be a servant leader, and I feel like a leader can be a visionary in their building and really get people on board with a shared vision and a direction for the sake of their students. My plan of study is here, as well as my resume. And I've attached the necessary forms, my administrative verification, my annotated bibliography is here. And I will jump right into my district slides for the sake of time. In Standard 1, I used my continuous improvement slideshow. I interviewed Mr. Martin, my principal, and our superintendent, Mr. Simoncic, and developed the slideshow that you see there. The evaluation of improvement processes took it a step farther to look at the impact that our interventions were having on student success. Standard 3, looking at the inequity concerning opportunities to newcomers in our building. We have a very small group of English language learners, and I find myself advocating for them. They are such a small population, but their needs are very significant. So that's what that meeting was. In Standard 4, Learning and Instruction, I focused on the KESA action plan. I feel confident in leading my team in the area of looking at data sources and discussing student needs based on data. Standard 6, Operations and Management. We met with vendors for our school pictures. It was important to meet the community's needs. We had a vendor that was very high priced, and we needed to move away from that for our community. Building professional capacity, fostering effective communication within our administration meetings is important, and this related to communicating with the community as far as our KESA action plan for accreditation. Moving on to my elementary slides. In Standard 1, the Frank Layden Elementary mission statement was written after going through developing their why statement, individual why statements from the teachers, and then onto a collective why, and then they wrote their mission statement from that. I developed this program planning slideshow for Dr. Brannick's class at PSU counseling department, but from the administrator's point of view of expectations for the counselor's role. So modeling those professional norms within that setting. Analyzing decisions in terms of established ethical frameworks. This was a case study that I did in my special education class. School redesign collaboration. Important to always model ethical practice even when conversations get a little heated or tensions rise, as they sometimes do when we're passionate about our kids. Standard 3, I advocated for professional development. Dr. Sagehorn came in and talked about culturally responsive instruction. So I believe that's important for an administrator to advocate for that support of all students. This is a slideshow I developed for the elementary transition meeting of 5th graders coming to 6th grade. So preparing them for what's to come, I believe, supports their learning because they'll be more at ease and more ready to learn when they come to our building, having met us and already seen our faces and are somewhat familiar with the teachers in the junior high. Community and external leadership. I worked with parents to set up a little field trip on a weekend to the International Food and Culture Fair. So I communicated with parents about the opportunity and took a special enrichment opportunity with those children. Festa Italiana is a great community event that celebrates our diversity in the community and our heritage, and it supports students who plan to go on to additional schooling beyond high school. So whether it's a technical school or college plans, any graduating senior will get a scholarship upon their graduation. Operations and management. This is an IEP meeting. Looking at it through the eyes of an administrator and making sure that rights and policies are followed is important. Building professional capacity. I'm on the reopening task force, so after we looked at the draft from Dr. Watson, we talked about what individuals to bring onto the task force with us and who would be good representatives for our district and individual buildings for our next step. My secondary slide shows up here. In Standard 1, developing a comprehensive plan for communicating the mission and vision. As part of the redesign, we work with our group to develop the mission and vision within that team, and then we discuss teaching the process of delving into mission and vision, and then we took it back to our entire faculty to develop our vision, where we wanted to go, what we wanted to achieve, and then communicating that on to our stakeholders. This is our 7th grade collaboration, talking about student needs and discussing solutions for our students. So while we may not always begin the meeting talking through those norms, sometimes they're posted, sometimes they're at the top of the agenda, but they're always norms that we keep in mind and adhere to. I'm on the social emotional committee, so this means developing strategies for improving school culture. So much of our culture is just so deeply ingrained in the social emotional needs of our students that when we can support them in all areas, it improves the culture greatly. Standard 3, in this student intervention team meeting, I'm always advocating for student learning differences, how to accommodate their needs, and differentiating instruction for students as they have need of it. Standard 4, Learning and Instruction. This is a paper that I wrote in my curriculum planning class. Student-led conferences. We use our data within our teams, but then we also share that data with students. Students get to see their own data and make plans for improvement. They get to set their own goals and have ownership in their plan, and this goes into their individual plan of study that we have on file for them on digital file. Teaching during a pandemic. We're looking at and evaluating the curriculum to finish out the school year last spring, but then we're also looking at meeting the needs as far as social emotional needs go. So really looking at, okay, we're going to have to put off assessment for a time. What are our major needs as far as really highlighting those essential standards to finish out the year. Community and external leadership. This is a situation where the hospital needed a color guard for Veterans Day, and they reached out to us, the troop in Frontenac, Boy Scout Troop 81, and we were able to fill that need for them. Community service is very important for us in Frontenac, and really teaching that to the kids is one of our major goals, and it goes into every student's individual plan of study. Standard 6, operations and management. The school leader will develop a school master schedule. I'm responsible for that in conjunction with our high school counselor since we share staff. So that makes things sticky because of having to coordinate with her as far as when teachers are needed in the other building and such. So that's something that we labor over for many, many hours. But it's important to meet the needs of students in terms of highly qualified teachers, making sure that teachers are able and available to offer the courses that we need from them, and giving students as many choices as possible within that schedule as well. Operation Wrap Up has to do with filling the needs of students during the holiday time and over the break time. So advocating for resources that we might need to support students in that way while we're out of the building. Building professional capacity. These are counselor interview notes for the position that I'm vacating at the junior high school. So I went through the applications and was on the interview team to fill that position. And identifying leadership capabilities of staff within our KESA and our school redesign process. It's important to recognize the talents and leadership capabilities of staff and really put them in a position to have a greater impact with students, with our team, and so on. We were also able to choose lead teachers for our continuous learning plans for each grade level, and I got to be a part of that recommendation committee. Teacher observations. In this situation, I'm in the classroom a lot doing observations. Usually student observations, but then I get to see teachers in action as well. In this situation, it was along with the Providence K-9 unit, and I was able to evaluate whether teachers were following protocol. As far as when the K-9 comes in, there are certain things, certain expectations that we look for. Teachers normally will come out with the class, and as the administrator, then I go in the room with the K-9 or vice versa. But really following those expectations to the letter is very important. And so I've included the letter there from the principal as far as what happens when the K-9 unit comes to our school. So those are my artifacts, and then my reflection of the process. I expected the portfolio to be something that was kind of an additional assignment rather than interwoven through everything throughout my my 2 years of study. And I really appreciate how much the standards were interwoven through every activity and every assignment. I really see how that is going to be beneficial upon taking the exam. One challenge that I've had has been with technology and learning the technology required for the program and for the e-portfolio process. I'm not extremely tech savvy, but I'm willing to learn. So through this process, I've learned to use a number of different tools that I've implemented and used with students beyond the minimum expectations of the courses. And so I appreciate being pushed in order to really explore my capabilities and be able to fulfill the requirements of my classes, but then to produce things that my students enjoy and are interested in has been very rewarding. So thank you for checking out my e-portfolio, and I'll say goodbye.